how about we get started with the NFL coaching carousel? So, this is an interesting way to put it, seeing as this was a very hectic time, I'd say, for the NFL coaches, because there were a lot of open spots and there were a lot of good candidates. So before most of the hires were made, I made a few predictions as to who would get hired, and I think all were different except for one. And so, I'm going to go over right now the current coaches for the teams that needed them were the Panthers have hired Matt Rule. The Jaguars stuck with Doug Marrone. The Cowboys hired Mike McCarthy. The Redskins hired Ron Rivera. And the Giants hired Joe Judge. And as of recording, the Browns job isn't completely certain, but it is almost locked up in Josh McDaniels. So my predictions were I had Matt Rule going to the Giants. I had Greg Roman coming from the Ravens to go to the Browns, and I had but Redskins Ron Rivera I predicted, which was correct. The Panthers, I had Eric Bieniemy from the Chiefs, their offense coordinator, and for Dallas, I had them sticking with Jason Garrett, which was clearly a mistake because they did not do that. So it was let's just analyze each team's decision. Giants' decision, they kept Dave Gettleman, their general manager, first of all, which was a questionable move in my opinion. But they hired Joe Judge, who was the wide receivers coach / special teams coordinator for the Patriots. Now, you'd think, why are they hiring someone who you have no idea who he is and was a special teams coordinator? But the reason is it's actually a smart strategy for Dave Gettleman to hire Joe Judge, because special teams coordinators coach the whole team in a sense, as in a lot of great players come from special teams that become other studs in the NFL. So like John Harbaugh was a special teams coordinator when he started out. Let's see. I think Bill Belichick was sort of a special teams coordinator for the Browns before becoming the head coach. And he started out as a special teams coordinator, then became the offense coordinator, and then the head coach for the Browns. And then he went to the Jets, but then went to the Patriots, and now he is one of the best coaches of all time. But back to coaches that started as special teams coordinators. Jim Harbaugh, along with John, they were both special teams coordinators, and they are great coaches now. So you'd think, they're just going with it because of past success. Not everyone's going to be good. Yes, not everyone is going to be great, but you have a better shot with a special teams coordinator than someone coming back like maybe a Lincoln Riley or Matt Rule, who is in college. And yes, Matt Rule was on the Giants coaching staff in 2011, but that was 2011 with Tom Coughlin. So you never really can tell with those coaches. So I think it was a smart decision to get somebody who's been familiar with the Patriots, who is a great leader in a sense, because he kind of works with the entire team. So I think it was a good move to hire Joe Judge. But I think the Browns, this is almost locked up, but I think Josh McDaniels would be a great fit anywhere, in my opinion. I personally would have had Mike McCarthy to the Browns. That's what I really think he would have been a better fit, because after Greg Roman revealed he would stay, that kind of took him away from the head coaching job. So Mike McCarthy seemed like the next best guy, just because he had that mentality of winning. And like with a team like the Browns who just want to win, and with people like Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham, you think that Mike McCarthy might be able to groom them. But Josh McDaniels starting out, I think it's going to be a good fit for him there. So I do think that was a good hire, but they could have done better. But I think the Browns waited too long to get some of the better coaches out there. But the Panthers getting Matt Rule. So Matt Rule was not hired by the Giants, and in my opinion was because Matt Rule had gone to interviews with all the teams, but then when they found out that he was about to be the head coach of the Panthers, Giants made their decision and hired somebody else as kind of like a shot fired to Matt Rule. But the Panthers, Matt Rule shouldn't feel that that's a shot fired because he has a fantastic team to work with in the Panthers. He has his quarterback situation is going to be a little hard to decide because I wouldn't keep Cam Newton. I wouldn't even consider Cam Newton for their quarterback position anymore. But I also wouldn't go with Will Grier out of West Virginia, the rookie. Did not look, he was throwing helium balloons out in the last few games that he played. Kyle Allen to me seems like a good fit because in his first few games he was playing incredible. He did have a lot of trouble with the interceptions, but they were playing really tough teams when that started happening. They played the 49ers. He threw a few picks there. They were playing like the Saints like twice. He played the Saints twice and threw a couple picks. Played the Buccaneers, who have a good defense. Maybe not a great quarterback, but a good defense, so he threw a few picks there. The picks just kept coming up for him, and then they decided to go with Will Grier, which was a questionable move. And so now Matt Rule has to decide Will Grier or Kyle Allen, or if he wants to go have Cam Newton have another try. I wouldn't personally have Cam Newton go again, seeing that Cam Newton just feels, I think Cam Newton himself feels that he's done from playing in the NFL, not as much being a quarterback, but playing for the Panthers, not the NFL. My bad. But yeah, so I would go with Kyle Allen, but there are some great quarterbacks out there, and the Panthers have a relatively high pick, so they could get somebody like the Utah State quarterback. I don't remember his name right now; it's not coming to mind, but or maybe Tua, but I think that will be the second quarterback after Burrow, which the Bengals should select, or maybe Justin Herbert, Jake Fromm. That's an underdog pick. But then again, you're just drafting a Will Grier, who was drafted in the second round last year for the Panthers. So I think the Panthers stick with Kyle Allen, see what they can get out of him. If they can't, look to the next few years for the draft or trade for somebody. There's a few good people available. Teddy Bridgewater, possibly. That could be a very plausible option for them. So that was a good hire by the Panthers. So getting someone like Matt Rule, yeah, he was in college, but he's already proved himself in the NFL, I think. Proved he can be there and be an offensive line coach, especially. So that was a good hire. The Redskins hiring Ron Rivera. Redskins fired poor Jay Gruden in, I think, the third or fourth week, and they went with Ron Rivera. And once Ron Rivera got fired from the Panthers, that is exactly who the Redskins were looking for, because they knew he was the guy to turn that ship around for the Redskins. Redskins have a very talented team. They do. They have a great quarterback a potentially great quarterback. I think the Redskins mainly wanted to bring in Ron Rivera because of what Rivera did with Cam Newton. They think he can do with Haskins. So, and then you have Adrian Peterson, who's a leader. And then you have a strong defense. You got like Josh Norman. You got is that former Giants cornerback? He made the Pro Bowl several times. Landon Collins, he's very good. So you have a strong defense, strong secondary. So that team could be a potential threat in the future, I think. And that was a great hire by the Redskins. Now, the Cowboys hiring Mike McCarthy. I think this was a mistake on Jerry Jones' part. But I think Jerry Jones handled it very well by not straight out coming and going, oh, Jason Garrett, you're fired. He actually just gave Jason Garrett the opportunity to slowly have his job diminish before him. Now, that sounds mean, but that was the better way to go, because that way you can get rid of Jason Garrett because his contract expired, so you're not technically firing him. Then you get a great guy like Mike McCarthy, who's already proven himself. He has the second most playoff wins, second only to Bill Belichick. So I don't think that Mike McCarthy was a bad pick, because he did win a Super Bowl, yes. But, I don't like how Aaron Rodgers was calling Mike McCarthy overrated, but I think he was only calling him overrated because he had some beef with him at the end of his tenure in Green Bay, which was a bad ending to a great, not maybe era for the Packers, which technically was the end of the era, but they brought in Matt LaFleur, who's flourishing in a sense. But so Cowboys, it was like a average move. It's a safe pick for them. You get someone who has experience, but he's a passing coach, and their main strength is Ezekiel Elliott in that running game with a great offensive line. But on the bright side, they have a great offense, and they have a great passing game, so that will work to Mike McCarthy's strength. So I think that was a good pick. Doug Marrone just was kept by Jaguars. That was in question for like a week, and then they stopped and they just kept him. So yes, that is all of our coaching. That was the coaching carousel.